Hey guys, this is Gohan6425 on YouTube, the one and only. And right now, you are watching the one and only great WGS-TV.
Hello everyone, welcome to another installment of WGS-TV right here on YouTube.com/WrestleGamer and ZFXTV. The last video in the few series of videos you guys are probably going to see leading up until Hell in the Cell. So hopefully every one of these videos will be going up before the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view tomorrow. But speaking of the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view, figured, been a while since I've done a preview or predictions video for a pay-per-view, so why not start now with the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view, guys? You're definitely going to do that. And I got a couple of guys I want to introduce you to. First off, you guys know him as our resident music mogul over on YouTube.com/LanceMossTV. He is the incomparable Lance Moss. Lance, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. And Billy, bazinga.
Oh, dang it. And anyway, guys and gals, we got a special treat, a special guest here on the Hell in a Cell preview video, guys. He is the host of Sports Entertainment Tonight, which can be seen on YouTube.com/AOC Lafayette and also locally on the Acadiana Open channel every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central Time. Nick Fourquier. Nick, how you doing?
Pretty good, guys. How you living?
Doing just fine. We're going to take a look in the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view, and first matchup, we're going to take a look at the Tag Team Championship, Gold and Stardust defending against the Usos. A little bit of redundancy, but then again, with a lack of tag team talent, a lack of a good tag team roster, Nick, it really bears in mind that, who else are they going to defend the tag team titles against? There's really, I can't think of any other face tag team that they could really push for a shot at the titles other than the Usos.
Well, and this is true, and just that actually this is the Usos' first rematch since losing the titles, is it not?
I think they had one on SmackDown a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, and that earned them a chance to get a title shot. Ultimately, I think just like you said, it is there's just a lack of depth in the tag team division. That's why you're seeing NXT push the tag team division so hardcore, because they are trying to have a little more to work with eventually in the future.
Definitely. Now, as far as the championship and the match goes, the Usos were good champions. They're really good champions. Will they put the titles on them? If they really want to extend the feud, Lance, the way I see it going is possibly they'll have the Usos win the match, but not the titles. If they really want to do it, something like that to really further the feud between Gold and Stardust and the Usos, that's one good way to do it, wouldn't you think?
Well, you going to Lance, or are you talking to me?
Well, Lance is having some issues. Now we're getting you, Lance.
I don't know.
Yeah,
guys, I gotta go.
Oh, well, we do apologize again to the comparable Lance Moss, but Nick, I'll pitch it over to you. What are your thoughts on that scenario? And what's your prediction for what might happen with the Usos and Golden Stardust?
Well, I definitely see. I think that Gold and Stardust haven't had enough time necessarily to push their title reign, and I think there's a lot more stuff that they can do with that title reign. I mean, the Usos had about 8 months with the titles, so that we've kind of seen what the Usos can do. And as you said, they were great champions. But as of right now, I think the WWE might want to give Gold and Stardust at least a couple more months of a title reign, and I could ultimately see the Ascension coming up, and it's just a matter of whether or not they are going to be baby faces or heels. As of right now, they're kind of portraying heels in NXT, and really it just kind of depends on what their plans for the Ascension are, because I think they will be your next tag team champions. If they are going to be heels, then maybe the Usos do win them back, and the Ascension are the next feud that they have coming for them. But I also would like to see Golden Stardust against the Ascension as well. So we can see what comes about out of that. Because as you said, lack of depth in the tag team titles. Who else is really going to challenge for the titles at this point?
I really don't see the Los Matadores doing it anytime soon. But anyway, up next, a matchup made recently on Friday Night SmackDown off the great Intercontinental title match between Dolph Ziggler and Cesaro, which was a fantastic match. And so now we have 2 out of 3 falls. Intercontinental Championship on the line, Dolph Ziggler and Cesaro. And Nick, I gotta say, regardless of who wins, based on just how awesome that match was on SmackDown, I can only imagine. I can't wait to see what's in store for us in this 2 out of 3 falls match for the Intercontinental title.
I completely agree with you, Billy, and just that, these are 2 of the best workers you have in the business right now. Cesaro puts on great match after great match. Ziggler, makes everybody look like $1 million. So, I'm definitely looking forward to this one. Obviously, there's no 2 out of 3 falls match in the WWE that goes 2 matches to 0. So we will probably get to the 3rd fall. And I ultimately, I hate to say it because I'm a Ziggler mark, but I think we do see, Cesaro win the Intercontinental title this pay-per-view.
Yeah, I got to agree with you to a point, but like I said, whenever we see Dolph Ziggler in any type of a match with anybody, let alone a great talent like Cesaro, it really just he has the ability to enhance the match and make it a lot more enjoyable to watch, and that's something we really got to have in store for us this Sunday. But I do think it's time for Cesaro to have an Intercontinental Championship reign. I wouldn't see it hurting. Plus, it could also possibly extend the feud. We're talking about a lot of feud extensions. First off with Gold and Stardust and the Usos, and the possibility of having one here with Ziggler and Cesaro over the Intercontinental Championship. It's been quite some time since WWE actually had a good angle and a good storyline involved. And I'm really glad they're doing one right now with Ziggler and Antonio Cesaro, or AKA Cesaro. But speaking of championships, the United States Championship on the line, Sheamus and The Miz, who probably will have Damien Mizdow, who will probably attract a lot more attention than The Miz, Nick, in this matchup. And I think that's something that's really getting to the point with the fans, that they're more attracted to, they're gravitating more towards Damien Mizdow than The Miz himself.
Right, and we said it on our show a few months ago, and Mick Foley recently just came out and said it, that Damien Mizdow is better at doing The Miz than The Miz actually is. So I've always been a fan of Damien Sandow, the intellectual savior of the masses. But as we see what WWE did, they pretty much did a flip-flop on their Intercontinental and U.S. feuds, and that The Miz just went over to Sheamus and Cesaro went over to Ziggler. But I think a lot of that is based on the performances that they had at Night of Champions, because Sheamus and Cesaro had a fantastic match. And I think they maybe are not ready to take the title off of Sheamus right now, because I foresee Sheamus versus Rusev feud coming in the near future. But ultimately, I think they saw, oh, wow, Cesaro is awesome. We need to get a belt on him. And that's kind of why I was leaning a little toward Cesaro for that prediction. But I agree with you 100% in that Mizdow really is kind of stealing the spotlight, and he's really getting over with fans. And, I could possibly even see a babyface turn coming for Mizdow.
It's really going to be interesting to see, how they portray him with Mizdow TV on the Hell in a Cell pre-show, and I believe he has Paul Heyman, Booker T, and I think the third person is Shawn Michaels. I am not 100%, but the first 2 I definitely know it's Booker T and Paul Heyman.
They're on the panel, I believe. I think he's just it's Mizdow having Miz on the show, so it's Mizdow TV with Miz as his guest. I believe is what I read. But on the panel, they are going to have Paul Heyman and Booker T and your usual WWE. I imagine it'd be Renee Young, possibly Alex Riley as well.
Yeah, but as far as the United States title goes, I'll agree with you on that point. Sheamus having a really good run right now, and I don't see them taking the United States Championship off of him anytime soon. And it really would go well for a feud with him and Rusev in the near future over the United States Championship. Because I can kind of see it now. They put the title on Rusev and they rename it the Russian title.
Yeah.
It would definitely be a likely scenario in WWE's favor, in my opinion, to kind of draw more heat onto Rusev. But speaking of Rusev in himself, especially with the recent actions on Monday Night Raw, By the way, guys, again, I'm going to say it again. That was a plant. That wasn't a real soldier. But
Yeah, I think any true wrestling fan could have told you that. You know, as soon as you saw it, you're like, yeah, right. They wouldn't let this soldier jump over the barricade, number one. You know, and
yeah.
I think we all knew it was kind of a work, but it was still a good angle nonetheless. You know, a good way to get Rusev some heat.
Yeah, fans on social media were up in arms, like, was that a real soldier? Was that really supposed to happen? There was a little outcry of fury, but it's Rusev and the Big Show, and one of the things that they've really done a great job building up this angle between Rusev and Big Show, especially based on the promo that Big Show had on SmackDown. It was just so riveting. You can almost feel the intensity and the anger of the Big Show towards Rusev in this story. Now, do I see Rusev being knocked out and being pinned finally? There's been a lot of rumors, Nick, about a possible heel turn for Mark Henry from the way they're going to do it and pit him against Big Show. And if they were going to do it at any time, any good time to do it right now, on the peak of the angle right now between Rusev and Big Show, one would figure they would do it at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, and that could be a good possibility. And, as you said, props to Big Show. Because I've never been a huge Big Show fan. I thought his character had kind of gotten stale, but he's really come back in his last run with a lot of passion, and he's truly being himself. He's, the goofy Big Show, but when you piss him off, you don't want to mess with the giant. So I think that's the best way his character can work. But I think it is, a good thing, and ultimately, we could see a Mark Henry and Big Show feud, but the only problem is just those are two older names, so they will have to try and sell it to the WWE universe and making us care about that feud because we've seen it probably a few times in the last 10 years.
Yep, definitely. But I'm really going to go, with that possibility of Mark Henry interfering in the matchup, and Big Show will win the match, but by disqualification, thus keeping Rusev's.
He gets a clean pin on Rusev.
Yeah, exactly. But following that, we have the Diva. Now, again, guys, I'm just going through a list here. This is not the actual lineup they have on Hell in a Cell. A lot of people are going to be wondering, oh, you said this was going to happen at this. No, it's just a list of what I took down from WWE.com. The Divas Championship on the line, AJ Lee and Paige. Needless to say, two things about this feud. One, they're really the only two good divas right now who are at the top of their game, and they can actually put on a really good, decent match. Almost to the level of the NXT talent they have on WWE NXT. And it's just something I said before, time in, time out. The NXT talent they have right now, especially when it comes to their divas, can definitely outshine the current crop on the main roster when it comes to in-ring ability. Now, why WWE is holding them down still remains to be seen, but currently, right now, as it stands, Nick, as far as in my mind, on the main roster, when you think of good talent in the Diva division, the first two names that come to mind is AJ Lee and Paige.
I agree with you, but I mean, to a large degree, and we've had this talk before, I think that the WWE Divas are set up to fail, and that they're given 2-minute matches. We get the Total Divas storylines crammed down our throat. And in NXT it's completely different. They're allowed 5, 6, 7-minute matches. They are able to build up a storyline. So yeah, and AJ and Paige tend to get at least about 3 or 4-minute matches. Where they can kind of build up some kind of storyline. I do personally think that this feud has kind of run its course. While these maybe two are the best divas in the division right now. I would hope that they kind of wrap up this feud at this pay-per-view.
And I would think they would do it.
Go ahead. Done a lot more to build up Paige's character as well. She's just been kind of, I guess, still trying to find herself on the WWE roster. And I personally would like to see more of this anti-diva character, that she, had so much in NXT. They've kind of portrayed her as, the psycho, the crazy girl, which is what AJ already is. We already have that woman gimmick. So, I would like for them to try something a little different with Paige. just because she is so talented and she's got a great future ahead of her.
Now, as far as the Divas Championship is concerned, do I see them dropping the title to Paige? It's a very good possibility of that happening. Whether or not it would be due to the interference of Alicia Fox, because it's almost guaranteed that Alicia Fox will be at the ringside when it comes to this match, because of the fact that she's been so involved in the angle as of late, more involved than Paige has been when it pertains to the Divas Championship. So I want to give it a flip of the coin, because it's really hard to tell. You know, heads or tails. I'm going to go Paige wins the Divas Championship, and I really don't see a downside at all on it, honestly, Nick, to having Paige be the Divas.
Where do you see them going with this feud afterwards? So, I mean, like, say Paige wins the title, who's the next in line for Divas title match?
That's a very good question. It's a very good question indeed as to where they go right now, because, you know, if people, you know, if we're seeing the angle at its peak right now at Hell in a Cell, then it would have to be. I'm not sure. They might try to insert Nikki Bella in it for some reason. For some reason beyond me. But speaking of the Bellas, you know, the lesser talent in WWE, Nikki and Brie, with the loser becoming the winner's assistant for 30 days. And I think, as you know, when they made that announcement, Nick, they tried hard to push this angle over for Nikki and Brie, and it just kind of fell flat.
Well, that's been the theme really for the last 3 months with the Bellas, with them really trying hard to push the Bellas, which, you know, I do give the Bellas credit. They have improved their in-ring skills tremendously, you know, especially Brie Bella. You know, you could tell she's really been working with Daniel Bryan in her off time, being that he's been hurt, and I think he's been helping her out a lot in the ring. And she really has gotten over with the crowd, kind of ripping off Daniel Bryan's gimmick a little bit, you know, but that's okay. I think the fans endear her just because she is related to Daniel Bryan. But when it comes down to it, these two, the Bella twins, their promo skills are god-awful. You know, people do not hand them a microphone. You know, and which makes it tough for them to have a good storyline. And really, they are just selling the TV show Total Divas with this feud, with this angle, and all the Total Divas matches that we see on a weekly basis. But you know, I do like where they're going with it. And I mean, they initially were going to have it for the Bella last name, which I thought would have been stupid. So I do kind of like this gimmick of the match, and that you're going to have to be the personal assistant for 30 days. Which kind of leads me to who is going to win the match, just because you can definitely see Nikki doing harsher stuff to Brie if she was her personal assistant, like making her clean toilets and stuff. And you wouldn't really think the babyface Diva, I guess, would do mean stuff to her sister if she loses the match. So that's one reason why I think maybe Nikki might win this match.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you to that point, because, you know, again, you just said it yourself. You know, we can imagine Nikki, you know, with her being the heel right now, doing a lot more harsher things to Brie than Brie would do to her own sister. So
right.
it really begs the mind, and also asks the question, how many people actually really do care about the angle right now? I would say not that many. But finally, guys and gals, we're getting to the nitty-gritty of the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view, the 2 Hell in the Cell matches. First up, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. Nick, whenever these two tie it up, it is just, it's fireworks. They blow the roof off the joint, and I gotta say, yeah, they're gonna steal the show when it comes to Hell in a Cell. I can only imagine what they're gonna let these two do at the pay-per-view.
Surely, you know, I mean, we see it with Seth Rollins. He's a daredevil. You know, Dean Ambrose, the lunatic fringe. You know, he's going to be locked inside the cage. I imagine he's going to have all kind of fun weapons underneath the ring. You know, and we're going to see a great show, as you see a lot of fireworks between these two. And, you know, these guys have worked consistently to try and put on the best match of each card that they are on, regardless of whether it's Raw, SmackDown, main event, whatever it may be. So these two are the future of the company, in my opinion. I think that they have more talent and more potential than even Roman Reigns, which of course Roman Reigns has just the look, but as far as mic skills, ring ability, these two are the future of the company, and I can't wait for this match personally. But who do you think needs a win more, Billy? Seth Rollins or Dean Ambrose?
It's very, very hard to say because, they can go either way with this one, and it wouldn't turn out to be a bad scenario of, because for one thing, what we saw on Monday Night Raw, at the end of Monday Night Raw, Rollins curb stomping Randy Orton, where do they go from there when it pertains to that one? But they could also have Ambrose win, and it possibly get under the skin of Seth Rollins so much that he lost to a person he said he was going to hands down beat at Hell in a Cell, and they could further the angle between them, and they could possibly really do something to possibly even top that. It's hard to say what they can do.
Well, we do have tables, ladders, and chairs coming here after Survivor Series, so you never know. We could see some tables, ladders, and chairs.
Definitely.
But, typically, historically at least, feuds tend to end at Hell in a Cell. That's where they kind of build up, so you have your SummerSlam is where they'll start a feud, which, of course, we saw a lot of repeats on SummerSlam. But, usually they try to end the feuds at Hell in a Cell, and, that's just kind of the last straw. Then they kind of build something else up until you get to the Royal Rumble where they start their WrestleMania build-up. Because we tend to have about 3-month feuds, in the WWE.
Yeah, that's kind of how they work. That's kind of how they work. But officially, because I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are wondering, he said this, he said that. I'm going to make sure that this guy's right. But officially, I'm going to go down and say Dean Ambrose will pick up the win because of the fact that he's been. He was the guy that's been knocked out. He took the curb stomp on concrete, so put that up in quotation marks. And really, he's been really entertaining. Ambrose has been really good, and I can only imagine, Nick, what it meant to Ambrose and Rollins when they had Mick Foley come out on Raw to not only help put over Hell in a Cell, the pay-per-view, but to put over specifically their match, to have someone of that status as the Hall of Famer Mick Foley come out in your young career to help put over your match. I can only imagine that must have gave them goosebumps because that promo on Raw was just spectacular.
I agree with you, and that just goes to show you how much the company believes in these two, on their ability, and really, Seth Rollins has been kind of involved in all of the main events here in the last few months. So, I think the company thinks very highly of them. I do somewhat think that Ambrose kind of just took Roman Reigns' spot, because a lot of the stuff that Dean Ambrose is doing right now, he probably would have had to take a backseat to Roman Reigns if he, had not been there. But, I'm almost kind of glad that Ambrose has gotten his chance to shine. I do worry a little bit that they might get a little too goofy with all this stuff, because here he's been bringing out the, hot dog condiments and then the dummy this past week. So hopefully it's not every week where he's got something, silly that he's doing. Even though I think it is good to do, because Stone Cold used to do a lot of that type of stuff, and it's very entertaining to watch. One of the best things about wrestling, what gets people watching, and you can go back to the Attitude Era for this, unpredictability in wrestling is the #1 seller. That's how you get people to tune into wrestling. And Dean Ambrose brings that factor. Coming down to this match, though, being that I do think that we are going to see Seth Rollins cash in here in the next couple months, I could possibly see Seth Rollins winning this match. However, I do kind of agree with you in that, he might lose the match to Dean Ambrose. However, still maybe go interfere, maybe help Orton win against Cena, and then try to cash in on Orton next time he fights Brock Lesnar, which might be at Survivor Series, Table, Ladders, and Chairs. We'll see when we see Brock Lesnar.
Which leads us into the final match on Hell in a Cell, the final Hell in a Cell match, with the winner getting a shot at Brock Lesnar and the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, John Cena and Randy Orton. Now, initially, when a lot of the fans on social media heard that they were going to have this match, they were like, oh, Cena and Orton again. But here's my take on it. Cena and Orton, Nick, can sell.
That they can. That's the two top faces in the company. And as of right now, there's a lot of question on where Randy Orton is kind of going. Because he's right on the cusp of a possible babyface turn. He's getting tired of Seth Rollins crap. He just gave Paul Heyman an RKO, so I think we might even have some Brock Lesnar interference in this match as well, just to come and take up for Paul Heyman, who got the RKO on Raw this past week. So there's a lot of scenarios that can play out. And ultimately, I think they had to go with this kind of gimmick for the match to make it for a #1 contendership, just because they don't have the title on the pay-per-view, which is a must-have. You got to have the titles, the world title on the pay-per-view. Without it, you have to have some type of #1 contender match, just to make the title relevant. But I really look forward to this match, as far as Cena and Orton matches go, because we have seen it 100 times already. But I think that does add a different kind of, flair to the match, in just that we don't know what Randy Orton's going to do. We don't know how Seth Rollins is going to be involved in this match. We don't know if Brock Lesnar is going to get involved in this match. So it's really interesting to see how they're going to do their booking for this.
And it also brings up to the next question with, which Hell in the Cell match will outshine the other? Will we see Dean Ambrose and Rollins outshine Orton and Cena? Or will we see Orton and Cena outshine Rollins and Ambrose? Because Orton and Cena, they have the capability of doing it. We've seen it, time in and time out with their matches, even going back several years to the I Quit match they had for the WWE Championship. I believe it was on Breaking Point. They had that I Quit match that was just absolutely brutal. And I'm talking about the viciousness displayed in the match in itself. A lot of people are saying, oh, it's brutal because you think it was bad. No, it was spectacular what they did. And, despite what a lot of the, quote, Cena haters tend to believe about John Cena and Randy Orton, it's, there's an old adage. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Sure.
Randy Orton and John Cena can sell out a stadium by themselves.
Without a doubt.
Now, as far as which way they're going to go, yeah, there is a huge unpredictability factor, based on the actions of what happened on Monday Night Raw with Seth Rollins curb stomping Randy Orton, and that's still a big question. A lot of people are wanting to know where are they going to go with Randy Orton, with this, being on the precipice of a babyface turn. Right. For Randy Orton. A lot of people wondering, well, are they going to have Rollins turn face? No, Rollins just turned heel. It wouldn't be ridiculous to have him flip-flop so soon.
I also think, Billy, that they are planting the seeds for Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania, which would be great. And, of course, we would see, and, I mean, they've been doing a really good job of slowly building up their storylines and just, holding off for the payoff, which is important in wrestling writing. You don't want to just push something so quick, and as you said, you don't want to see Seth Rollins and Randy Orton make that turn so quickly that Seth Rollins just became a heel. So I think this is just kind of a foundation for their storyline. And really, they usually tend to kind of start, sprinkling the seeds for their WrestleMania build-up around Survivor Series time, which we're coming up on that point. So I'm really looking forward to that. But as you said, there's going to be a lot of unpredictability in what they bring in this main event. I'm not really sure which Hell in a Cell match is going to be better. I think they're both going to be awesome, but ultimately Cena and Orton will go on last, and that has to do more with the title picture, which is, what people are, interested in seeing about. People want to know who's going to be the champion or who's fighting for the next championship. And, as I said, I believe Orton will win this match. And I think I remember hearing something about Cena's going to film a movie with Judd Apatow, so he might be out for, maybe a month to go film a movie. So
yeah, I heard the same story, but I've been hearing that for months and months. Especially when they first took off the WWE World Heavyweight Championship off of John Cena at SummerSlam, that he was supposed to be gone to go do a movie, but yet John Cena is still there. So it's really hard to say. They don't even give an actual date as to when John Cena is going to be gone to go film this movie. Now, will they do it the night after Hell in a Cell? I don't know, because for some reason I see Cena winning. I gotta disagree with you to a point. They just what happened with Randy Orton kind of plays into that. For one thing, we never really seen the rubber match in a sense between John Cena and Brock Lesnar when it pertains to the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. I mean, we saw SummerSlam where they, for some reason, inane reason, they thought, hey, let's have Brock Lesnar do 16 German suplexes and win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship in the main event, one of your big 4 pay-per-views. Hey, that's a brilliant idea. No, it wasn't.
Well, they were selling the beast pretty much with that one.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. That's what they were doing with there. Then we saw Night of Champions that Cena had Lesnar locked in the STF and Rollins interfered, causing a disqualification. So that match was thrown out. So I think possibly this would call for a rubber match between the two and for it to happen at Survivor Series, because not only based on that, but with what happened with Randy Orton on Monday Night Raw, they're going to have him completely associated with a different storyline when it pertains to that. Go ahead.
Really, they had a lot of foresight and foreshadowing, I guess, of the future, really storylines, in that Seth Rollins is kind of, the architect that's planning right now he wants Orton to win the title because he knows he can't cash in on Brock Lesnar, and he doesn't really want to cash in on John Cena either. So he thinks that Orton is kind of the weak link between those three. That's why he's trying to get Orton the title shot. He's trying, and, he's even told him, if you do beat Brock Lesnar, it'll be a miracle, which I think I could see him, helping out Randy Orton to win the title against Brock Lesnar. That way, and it's ultimately just kind of a scheme for Seth Rollins to try and win the WWE title, which could possibly happen, I think, as soon as Royal Rumble. So it is interesting to see. I don't think he'll carry the belt into WrestleMania, but it will be interesting to see from this point.
Well, guys and gals, on that note, that's been our thoughts on Hell in a Cell coming up this Sunday. But we want to know now from you guys out there, the viewers and subscribers, your thoughts on Hell in a Cell. What are your predictions for Hell in a Cell? Who do you see coming out on top? Again, very quickly, the lineup, the WWE Tag Team Championship on the line, Gold and Stardust defending against the Usos, the 2 out of 3 falls match for the Intercontinental Championship, Dolph Ziggler defending against Cesaro, the United States Championship, Sheamus defending against The Miz, the Divas Championship, AJ Lee defending against Paige, Big Show taking on Rusev, the loser becoming the winner's assistant match for 30 days, Nikki Bella versus Brie Bella. The Hell in a Cell match, Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins. And the Hell in a Cell match with the winner receiving a WWE World Heavyweight Championship match at Survivor Series, John Cena versus Randy Orton. We definitely want to know what you guys have to say. Be sure you put your comments in the comments section below. Don't forget to like and favorite this video. And guys, as we mentioned, our special guest, Nick, here, is on Sports Entertainment Tonight, which can be seen every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central Time on AOC. And definitely you can also see it on archive here on YouTube at youtube.com/AOC Lafayette. Nick, I want to say thank you very much for joining me on this video.
Thank you for having me, Billy. Appreciate it, man.
And also a big shout out to Lance Moss. I know he couldn't stay for the whole duration of the predictions video, but again, thank you to him, and check out him on youtube.com/Lance Moss TV. Don't forget to follow me on the Facebook page, facebook.com/WGS-TV, and don't forget to please subscribe to youtube.com/WrestleGamer and youtube.com/ZFXTV Network if you haven't already. So for the incomparable Lance Moss and our special guest Nick Fourquier from Sports Entertainment Tonight, I'm the WrestleGamer, Double B Billy Boudreaux, saying thank you very much for watching.